Good morning, everybody. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I'm here at the windowsill giving you my morning update. Now, I just want to show where the line is right now, and our current line is it's 10:45 today, and this is where this particular line is now. I'll let it get into focus here. Okay, it's 10:45 now. The other on 10, it's 10:45 now. Focus here.
Good afternoon, planet Earth. It is Wednesday, October the 20. Whoa, no, did I get it wrong? It's the 26th, isn't it? Please tell me it's the 26th. Oh, where is the? Yep, October the 26th, 2016. Hi there, everybody. My name's Hawkeye Two Feathers. I'm down here in South Georgia, and I want to welcome you here to another little bit of Null and Void News. And man, let me tell you, today seems like it's just absolutely nutso. Now, just here I am trying to get early onto the my live event that I'm trying to plan every afternoon and bring up to date whatever might be going on, right? And so then I get an unexpected visitor here at the house, which is like never happens. Okay, so I back this down a little ways. Give me a little more time. Also, then I start looking for my little memory tabs. I can't find them because that has the video on it I want to show you. And then, of course, then I get everything set, get ready to go on, and poof, at 4:20 exactly, the computer shuts down and reboots. Oh, I love you, Chrome, I do, I do. I wish that I could get you home, I do. Chrome, oh my God. I wish you were... Never mind. Good afternoon, everybody. Now, the current news, which is like really kind of strange out here now, is that there was a 6.0 earthquake, believe it or not. I do. Over in Italy earlier, which is like, whoa. Also, a meteorite has just hit Russia. Way up in Russia, but a meteorite just come in. It's like, wow, that's kind of interesting, you know. And now, you know, here I am. I'm taking pictures in the morning and afternoon about where the location of the sun is. And I had issues with a little camera today. Wouldn't stay on. I'm trying to get a shot of where the sun's coming up this morning, and then I want to do it. You know, it's like, okay, whether I put it on the air or not, I want to record it for my purposes. Oh, well, never mind. Camera's not going to work for you anyway. Just an odd bit of strange synchronicity of events, we'll say. You know what I mean? You ever had one of those days? Well, they're starting to pile up. However, I was told those days. Mama told me there'd be days like this. You know what I'm saying? Okie dokie. So let's get kind of to it. So I'm like I said, please, I apologize. I'm not real swift at this still. And so I'm sort of still in practice mode. I want to share the screen with y'all. And so this is what I want to show you. Let's see what happens. I want to share. Okie doke. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's what I was kind of like. Well, let me check and see here if this is actually coming through. I gotta sign this. Got my other computer finally to where it can log on, and I don't know if that's going out or not. Just here I am trying to get early onto the yo boy, what a lag there, eh? Quit. See, I'm really new at this. I don't know if I'm being broadcast or if the video's being broadcast right now. So give me a second, please, so I can make sure with my other monitor. Man. Now, I just had a new modem put in. It's supposed to be like blinding fast. Now, I don't have any other things running other than these two laptops. Okay, now I'm sure that my upload here with this with the video is going to take some bandwidth. Why is it taking so long to catch up? Hello. Wow. Oh, I see. Like I said, I'm still new at this. I'm trying to see if my monitor is going to catch up with my other monitor. Hello. You can't see my screen. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. All right, let's see what happens this way. Oh, cool beans. That's what I want you to see. Now let's see if this works. All right, so this is I'm still shaky at this. However, this is my windowsill on my south-facing house. Okay, and do I have a? No, you can't see my cursor on that screen. Okay. Up towards the top, there's a, it says 11:45, and my date is 10/9. So today, it was, well, let me play this. Let me get it through. Why aren't you playing? Hello? Oh. All right. Never mind. It is not going to work that way. Okay. Stop presenting. Okay. Okay. Stop that. All right. That doesn't work. Okay. So internal. All right. Share. I guess it's present to everyone. And then you gotta shrink that part and shrink that part. And this is what I want you to see. And I think I've caught up maybe. All right. So this is what I want you to see. All right. So yeah. All right. Now I can point at it. This is 11:45. This was my first baseline, one of them anyway, on that, and that's 10/9. So this was on 10/14, but this was a different time, different video that I made this line. However, it does show that the difference between these. Okay, so if this was at, wait, that's 11:15. Excuse me. If this was 11:15, and like today it was 11:45. So if this was 11:15 on 10/9, and today this line is 11:45. 10:45. Excuse me. All right. So.
Okay. It's 10:45. Now the other on 10/9, this line is at 11:15. That's where it was then. Today, this particular line is at 11:45. The other day, this was, oh no, this line here was at 10:14, but that was at 11:15. This is an 11:15 mark right there, and it's now 10:45. At 10:45, technically should be on the other side of this line. Okay. All right. So 10:15. I'm sorry, 10:45 today. This is Wednesday, October the 26th, and it is 10:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And my line is right here, the shadow line. Okay? And on the 9th, this line here is 10/9. And at that time, on 10/9, it was 11:15. And that's the line. Okay? And I'll zoom back over here to my clock real quick to get a vision of them, to make sure. Now, y'all know that my clock is 15 minutes fast, so I've been talking for about 4 minutes, and guess what? But still, the line is 10:45 is way past the 11:15 mark. So,
all right. So that's basically that was my first check for today. Now, what's really interesting, it's like, okay, the other day it wasn't as far along. Let's see, how do I put this? I'm gonna look for. I've got the next video that I did this morning. So let me get back over here and let's see. That was at 7:25, 8:33. I think that was a mistake I was trying to do. Let's go to the 8:35 one now. Let's see here. We probably have better luck. All right. And if this thing crashes, I'm using this Chromebook, and God love it. Oh, my rooster.
Good morning, good morning. It's almost 12 o'clock here. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers. It's October the 26th, Wednesday, down here in South Georgia at the farm.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my shadow window check today. And it is 12 o'clock by my clock. And to look at the shadow today, I'm going to try to be very careful with this. I know that I'm a little jumpy with this. This is my 12:15 mark. And that was on October the 9th. Today is the 26th, and it is 12 o'clock. And on October the 9th, the line here was at 2:15. So there's
12:15
a 15-minute difference in where.
Okay, my apologies. My mouth likes to skip around sometimes. I was thinking of another day, and it came through as 2:15. Okay, so let me be clear. This line today that I'm pointing out, basically that was my first check for today. Now, what's really interesting, it's like, okay, the other day it wasn't as far along. Let's see, how do I put this? I'm gonna look for. I've got the next video that I did this morning. So let me get back over here and let's see. That was at 7:25, 8:33. I think that was a mistake I was trying to do. Let's go to the 8:35 one now. Let's see here. We probably have better luck. All right. And if this thing crashes, I'm using this Chromebook, and God love it. Oh, my rooster.
Good morning, good morning. It's almost 12 o'clock here. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers. It's October the 26th, Wednesday, down here in South Georgia at the farm.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my shadow window check today. And it is 12 o'clock by my clock. And to look at the shadow today, I'm going to try to be very careful with this. I know that I'm a little jumpy with this. This is my 12:15 mark. And that was on October the 9th. Today is the 26th, and it is 12 o'clock. And on October the 9th, the line here was at 2:15. So there's
12:15.
a 15-minute difference in where.
Okay, my apologies. My mouth likes to skip around sometimes. I was thinking of another day, and it came through as 2:15. Okay, so let me be clear. This line today that I'm pointing out is at 12 o'clock my time, how I've been registering the time. Okay, and as it's shown on my clock that I'm about 15 minutes fast. I've been doing 15 minutes fast for a long time. Actually, it's about 17 and a half, but I average. So either way, I'm within 3 or 4 minutes, one way or the other, of starting the video. And to the point, though, it was 12 o'clock today, but on October the 9th, this was my 12:15 line. So we're 15 minutes fast, okay? So today we reached this line at 12 o'clock, not 12:15. That's a little interesting. Now, I'm not quite sure what's on the rest of this. I don't think it's much.
Was on October the 9th. That was my 11:15. And oh, by the way, it was early on the 11:15. It was 11 o'clock here at this line. And then, but my camera shut off. But now it is 12 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. That is true. So earlier when that must be the little short video that I bypassed just now. But so at the 11:15 line, it was 11 o'clock. And so now it's 12 o'clock at the 12:15 line, okay? Don't ask me how I got the 15. It's just when I looked at the clock and drew the line for my set points. It was just for me. I thought this was just going to be a deadgum joke until I found out that, oh my gosh, it's jumping around all over the place.
So we're 15 minutes off from the 9th. Quite clear outside today. Yeah, my window is cleaned again. It's fairly blue with a few clouds up there that seem to be man-made, but we're going to do a check in a little while, and I'll be back with you shortly.
Okay, so that was video number 2 for the day, and let me see what. Okay, now you know this can't be right because I'm saying it's 12 o'clock and my camera is saying today at 8:35 a.m. That's not correct. My camera's off. Wow. Okay. Sorry about that. Something I just noticed there as I'm looking through them as a file. I'm still trying to get everything organized, and this little Chromebook ain't too bad, but
the 26th on Wednesday, 2016, and it's fast, so it's a little after 1:15 this afternoon, because earlier today I was showing it, and that the sun was 15 minutes late. Now,
early
mark here. That thing. All right. This is a 1:15 mark, and it should have been on 10:09 because it's one of my long lines. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that my clock on my camera says 1:57. All right. Wait, do I have the right one? Yeah. Okay. Now, my clock on the wall, I'm about 1:20. Okay, and this is at 1:15. So now, just a little while ago, we were 15 minutes off of the, because earlier today I was showing it, and that the sun was 15 minutes late. Now,
okay, I got to correct that. Actually, the sun is 15 minutes early today. Is that right? You know, this, yeah, early. Yeah. It's early, exactly. So if this is my 1:15 line, I think is what I said, and it was 1 o'clock, I got myself confused here now. Wait. I mean, it's still off.
Right. This is a 1:15 mark.
Okay.
And it should have been on 10:09 because it's one of my long lines.
All right, that's good.
Now, what's interesting is that my clock on my camera says 1:57. All right. Wait, do I have the right one? Yeah. Okay. Now, my clock on the wall, I'm about 1:20. Okay. And this is at 1:15. So now, just a little while ago, we were 15 minutes off.
Okay, yes, that's correct. So in an hour's wait, this was at 12 o'clock, 12:15. I got myself confused, y'all. It's 420.
Off of the
On a piece of good cardstock, and then using like a tracing paper over the top, so you could see through the paper where my old marks were, or I could trace them easily each day and transfer them to each one, so I could have like a graph, you know. So I would also have a paper copy as well as video copy, because sometimes video disappear, you know, and since I'm doing these live, I don't have a copy. Now, I do have the copy of what I did this morning on video, but I'm going to try not to get too long-winded on some things. But so anyway, I've been doing some checking on several different things, and today there's been quite a few earthquakes kind of moving around. Now, I did a really I'm really too long-winded all the time, and I'm watching the clock here because I'm going to do my best to keep it in the time I said, okay? However, I do want to get the information out to you, and it just seems like the even if one or two people watch what I'm showing, hey, pass it along. If one person tells another and they start noticing, that's just the whole idea. This is not I'm not here to try to scare anybody, but with the fact that the sun's moving and squandering around all the time, and the fact that the earth is wobbling, is part of the reason why we are having these earthquakes. That's kind of my point, okay? So, not only that, but a meteor came in and hit, I think I already said that, but hit northern Russia just before I went on the air. I noticed it came across YouTube. And so that's been within in at least the last hour. Well, it depends on how long it took to get the report out of Russia, but to the point, it was this afternoon, our time. All right. So with that said, there's all kinds of craziness going on out there. All right. And one of the things that I find is the craziest is that there's wrong information, or inadequate information, or zero information. I saw something this morning on, and to Ben, my hat's off to you for what you do every single day. I'm an old retired fellow, and, with no responsibilities other than feed the cats and the chickens and get myself to the doctor back and forth once a month. That's the extent of what I have to do now. But I did used to hold down a full-time job and everything with children and two-time jobs, second jobs. Ben, thank you for what you do with suspicious observers. Now, I'm not calling you on this, but I just saw something interesting this morning, and it was the fact that when Ben went to the satellite which shows the sun, it shows over here off to the right, ding, 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 something coming into the sun, and Ben's like, "Whoa, look at you there." Well, I can't check with this machine because this Chrome OS will not look at what is basically a Windows-based type apps, and that's what NASA and all them folks got, right? This thing won't play it. It'll play on a phone, but it won't play on this. Don't ask me why. I've gone through all the apps, but that's another story. Now, so with that though, I was looking and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Number one, here, if this be the sun, then this object, whatever it is way too high above our ecliptic, meaning of the center part of the sun, So this object, and it's clicking right on by too, and it's like, Now, Ben, I swear, this ain't got nothing to do with you. It was just the way you kind of, look at that over there. And I agreed, what the dickens was that? I'm with you on that 100%. Yeah, So, with that said, I got to thinking, and I tried my best to get online to get and watch it myself so I could make some kind of a judgment as to like which planet it is, because you've got the planetarium thing of where everything is in the world right now. Well, this thing was huge, and it was above midpoint of the sun up here. Coming in. Now, as I have been trying to drop hints, like just blatantly say it out loud, there are supposed to be, through my contacts, other people's contacts, and obviously now on a lot of our satellite imagery and stuff, and a lot of the pictures that Steve Olson, which I just got to notice that he just put a new video up. You should check out Steve Olson and the WSO. Yes, good guys. Him and Wayne, absolutely top notch. They're looking into things, and they're getting their eyes woke up a lot. If you have been not necessarily hiding under a rock, but hiding under a rock, in other words, you just haven't really been not dumb about it or stupid about it, but it's like, okay, and not pay. I'm more of a not pay attention about it. It's not real important, but anyway. I spoke with a friend of mine today, and I was just so shocked at, how up date he is with all the information, and he don't have a clue, And then when I started to say something about these things, the first thing he said to me was, "You've always been a conspiracy theorist. Why don't you give it up?" And I'm like, whoa, ho, back up, boy. Wait a minute. No, this is the science and what's in the news right now. Well, how come I can't watch it? Well, he doesn't have an internet connection. So he is stuck with mainstream media. All the big ones. I do think he has cable. However, he's not getting the news channels that we can do or see or share on YouTube. And, of course, anything on YouTube must be... can't be real because it's not on mainstream media. Now, this friend of mine is maybe 10 years younger than me. So he's 54-ish. Okay, he's over 50. Now, I think he's kind of grown up on the tail end of my generation of the hippie types, right? He got a little bit of it, but, So he was a liberal rather than a Republican, like some of his kinfolk in the neighborhood here. And so we had that in common. So he wants to vote her, the Democrat. And was like, oh, my goodness, you are going to vote for her, right? And I was like, no. No, I'm sorry. Oh, and then the argument wanted to go. Well, you're supposed to be on our side. And I'm like, what? I've known for a long time that she's a crook. Wait a minute, they've never proved anything. The FBI's left her off on everything. I'm like, yeah, and they're still investigating it too. It's not like she's not guilty, because she is guilty. They said so. Comey said so in the briefings. I watched it with my own two eyes, heard it with my own two ears, but they didn't find it enough to prosecute. But yes, she did commit it. So his mind was like right up there with him. I could not believe how brainwashed he still is. Oh, man. Whew. So I just, man, as I listened to him during our visit, I love you, my buddy, I do. But those who can't open their mind, such as, this afternoon I was listening to Anthony Patch on Richie from Boston channel, RSB. You can look in my list of videos, and he's listed in there as one of the ones I like. Check them both out. Important information, big time. It has to do with CERN, the Big Hadron Collider over in Switzerland. It has to do with the fact that our magnetosphere, which is our protective shell around the Earth, is pretty much gone anymore from what's been happening with all the solar wind and everything. Yesterday, we got smacked with the solar wind from the coronal holes on the sun that are facing us now. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the very similar event happened. Now, if you go to one of these other channels, because I can't pull it up for you, you'd have to go to one of these other channels and watch what this is I'm talking about and the size of the coronal hole. Now, there are those folks who are going, oh, look, you can see, and that's the something, something, something. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to bring to you a very simple thing that a lot of people are not going to agree with me on. The sun is a hollow sphere. Yep. Okay. What's happening to our sun is that the ancients have said that Saturn was actually our real sun, and Saturn and Jupiter argued about it way back when. But as a matter of it wasn't an experiment. Earth was not an experiment. Earth was a project way, way back. And Earth was brought into this solar system. And it disrupted everything. Boom. Thus the asteroid belt, because it changed this. And when they moved the sun in, I think they moved the sun with the Earth because it was like a project. So they brought the sun with the Earth to specifically evolve this planet. And as all planets are living entities, but this is a special project brought to this section of the galaxy and robbed the star, which was originally Saturn, and some say Jupiter. I don't know. However, there is much more data that leans towards Saturn. Just saying. Now, what's going on with our sun right now? And if you look at it right now, if you kind of zoom in on the picture of the coronal hole, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, and the way I look at it, because my eyes are in that I'm looking inside the sun. That's what I see. It's not that, oh, well, this is a something, something, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I understand. I got my opinion, and that's why I'm voicing it. I'm not cutting down anyone else's opinion. I would simply like to bring up the point that, hey, I think you should just consider this. Now, and what I mean by that are there's some of these folks out here, and I swear I'm not complaining, I'm not putting anybody down, but they know about light and how it refracts off of things and everything, but the sun, they still have the implant that NASA and scientists and everybody's been telling us forever. So when they look at the sun, they're still got that thing in the back of their head. Well, I got rid of that thing, all right? And when I look at things, I'm looking at things like in a way like nobody else will. Now I look at things, I look at the most outrageous possibility instead of the simplest. Because it seems anymore that what you think is real isn't. The matrix changing, the Mandela effect, and I've had it happen here with things that have just disappeared. I mean, they're just not where I put them anymore. And I know that they were there because it's where that tool went. And I haven't used it in a long time. And nobody stole it because it was in a place where you really had to know where it was. So, and it hasn't reappeared? No. Now, I know I've got some poltergeist and funny things around my place, but no, not like this. So, anyway, so back to the coronal hole. Now, so I really do look at things differently. That's why I made a good engineer, because I just really thought out of the box. How well did you think about that? Well, I ain't got nothing to do with it, and then find out it really did. Oh, I ask all the dumb questions. So I'm asking a dumb question. When you see that coronal hole, it is a hole. Now, if you just look closely at it, are you seeing a underlayment of the outside? Like, how do I explain this? I'm gonna have to get me a whiteboard, to draw on. I'd get a blackboard, but I ain't getting no white chalk. It's all colored. It's a joke. Okay, it's a joke. I don't have any white chalk. That is the truth. Being a puppeteer and a storyteller, I would take a lot of things and color with them and everything. And in fact, I made a sign back over here that is chalk and crayon, and I really don't have any white chalk. That's why I was chuckling. I don't. But anyway, so if you look at the sun, it's a hole. Okay, so think of it as a hole. And then the fact that you're looking into a hole, and the hole is into the sun. Now, it was explained the other day that, yeah, but they were kind of thinking that the sun was kind of hollow, but there was like an outside surface that was what was on, boom, booming and igniting and everything. And all the little crackling and everything we see through the coronal holes. Well, I've never seen one as big as the one 2 weeks ago or so, but guess what? It's swung around and now it's facing us again. Whoa. It doesn't seem to be as big, but it's just as mean, because it sent us into a solar storm yesterday, and I would bet you we're probably still in it right now, because I was outside earlier and it just seemed like, boo, I'm going back in. I mean, just what's coming from the sun is just not when I was a kid. So anyway, so I have taken the images and I've watched the little movies for like over a day, but I've zoomed in as close as I could, and I just observed it. I just would run it back, the little video over, and then I'd play it back over. I'd play it slow enough so I could watch the interactions of the sparkles on the darkness, right? And so what I noticed was that if there was an outside skin that was like the fire layer, but then underneath it is what they're saying, and I don't really disagree, okay? And for lack of a better term, like, let's say it's made of mesh, okay? But this mesh is like electrically charged, and there's stuff going on that inside layer, right? So what they're saying is the outside layer doesn't have anything to burn, and thus there's a coronal hole. So it's just gap. Now, here's something else I would wish to throw out there to folks. Why is the hole getting bigger? Really, I mean, really, why is the hole getting bigger? Now, if the theory from some of our space brothers is true, and our sun literally is running out of fuel because it burned off all the hydrogen, now it's burning the helium, that's why it's not yellow anymore. It would also make sense in that a lot of people have been seeing a double sun, one of them coming up sooner than the other one, and then setting at sooner or later than the other one, at various points down in Australia, further up north. Now, in all my observations down here of the morning sun and evening sun, I've not seen anything around them. Now, that don't mean that the pictures that these folks have aren't true. I have not been able to duplicate any kind of object around the sun. I'm just saying I'm making that statement from here. I do believe there are things out there that they are taking pictures of, but they are not planets. They are spacecraft. Right. And yeah, buddy, they're big. Some of them are the size of the moon. Some of them are the size of the Earth. Some of them are the size of Jupiter, and some of them might be as big as our sun. No joke, okay? If you listen back a couple of months ago when NASA put out the thing about they think they've spotted another star or something that seemed like it had a Dyson sphere around it. Do you recall that? Dyson sphere around the sun. How big is the sun? Is it like, wouldn't care if they could see it from here out there, it must be pretty big or something, right? Now, if they could make the statement, think about this now, if they could make the statement that there is a Dyson sphere around a distant star, do they know something we don't know? And my speculation is this. What's the structure holding our sun together? Because when that coronal hole swings around, it's like 2 weeks ago when I looked at it, I like to freak because I saw what looked like the inside of it's like I was looking through a window hole to the inside of the sphere. And the reason I say that, and I challenge anyone, not as a bet or a threat, but as what do you think about this? Because it kind of looked odd to me. Now, I've been in theater and I've worked with lights and I've been in over 65 different theater productions, and most of them I helped set the lights or did the lights or whatever. My point is I do have experience with lighting things, and especially lighting things and then have something on stage that you don't want to like shimmer or shine, or you got to dull up, or just the opposite, you want something to shine at very low light. I've worked with both situations a lot. Okay, so with that said, that's why when I looked at it, I went, oh, it looked like the inside of a sphere to me, and it was how it looked concave. Okay, cave meaning inside, convex meaning outside. Okay, that's how I remember the inside cave thing. Anyway, but it's true. So on the concave, so when I was looking through that coronal hole, which was humongous last 2 weeks, and now it's back again, hey, y'all go look at it, okay? Take a peek, because I swear, like overlooking, if you were looking at the right side of the hole, as the sun turned around, it looked like, it looked like the inside of a baseball stadium, where you can see the up in the bleachers up on the top, and maybe they're shooting from down there, and they give a shot back to the stadium, and you can kind of see that fisheye kind of look. Well, that's what I see. It kind of I saw a fisheye kind of look, but I thought I was seeing the inside of the other side of the sun. Now, ETs say that the sun is a stargate to another sun. Now, I'm not sure if it's like to a sun, or if you could like program it sort of like Stargate, the TV series, etc. But that it is linked to at least another sun in another solar system. Now, like a jump gate, okay? Now, there is also information that I got to plug in my computer. So, hang on a sec. There is also information, excuse me, that oh man, I forgot where I was. I'm sorry. I have to stop and think about it. I used to be able to multitask like you would not believe, and now I get distracted, plug it in the computer. My apologies. I'll just go back to the coronal hole because I forgot what my point was. But the coronal hole, I would like for folks to look at that with just a different point of view, just another pair of eyes. Put your eyes that you looked at it before, put them in the drawer and get out the funky eyes and go, let me see. Put on your psychedelic lights, eyes, excuse me. Okay, so that's coronal hole. Well, at the same time, oh, using it as a portal. That's right. Well, it's also been told, and also, if I can find a video, I will bring it forward to show that what people have been videotaping as the blue kachina is actually a spare. You're gonna love this. A spare star that's kind of been sitting behind our sun, shining past it to make up the difference of brightness that our sun doesn't have. So it's sort of like a backup light that's been sitting right behind. This is our sun, this is the backup. So been sitting right behind it. And so if this one comes up a little bit, depending on where your angle is, you're going to see that blue kachina. Okay? And as they come up together and synchronize coming around, you don't see it too much overhead, but at certain latitudes, longitudes, people take pictures of it, especially more up north and more down south. I mean, like south of the equator, south. Now, there's some, but see, Germany is actually on a much higher latitude than I had imagined. So there are folks in Germany and Switzerland and that area up there. We're not getting pictures much of these planets from Puerto Rico, meaning close to the equator, much harder to see these objects than it is closer to the pole, either one, okay? And that stands to reason because of the angle of the dangle. So most of the people live more towards the equator. So when the two of these things come up, blue kachina behind, our sun dying out here, they're coming up, one or the other gets seen first or second, you know, and as they come up, but then they sink as it gets higher up in the morning, so that the rest of the world doesn't see the two of them. They just see a glob of light coming down. And why are they peppering us so strong with these chemtrails here lately? Maybe it's to cover up the fact that there's two of them up there, and as the sun, like now, we've got a giant black hole on the sun facing us. I mean, shouldn't there be like a shadow? I mean, if you took a flashlight and blacked out as much of the flashlight on the face of it as what's not shining right now on our sun, wouldn't it kind of come at us funky? We wouldn't get like a round ball, would we? If we looked up now, shouldn't it be like shadowy? I'm just saying. Because if it looks shadowy from the satellite, but down here on Earth, when I looked up at it earlier, it looked like a round ball to me. Now, how did we get from a great big giant black holes with nothing coming out of them to a full, bright, shining headlamp that I can look out the window right now and see? That's today. That was earlier today that I saw the video, which would have been about, Ben does his videos, you know, early in the morning, about 4 or 5, and so it has time to hit Yahoo. I'm sorry, YouTube, and get published. I understand. I got your button. So with that said, but it was still this morning because it showed all of yesterday, and we were really in the red. We were heading for 3rd degree on some of that gamma rays burst, etc. And oh yeah, we are getting hammered with radiation, y'all. Seriously, seriously, seriously. They are not telling us all the rads we're getting. There are independent folks all around the world now, because there are people who are just don't believe that they're getting the right information. So they're buying the same type of equipment. Right. Same type of equipment to do their own home testing. Right. Walk out in the sun and the thing goes nuts. If it's supposed to be 55, it's 90. I don't know. I can't remember my rads. but to the point. Oh, who was it? Somebody was reading, and I want to say it was like he was like saying it's over 900. Can you believe this? But it's been running about 850. So, and that was somebody in Phoenix. It's a YouTube channel. I just can't remember. Forgive me if you watch this. I'm on your side, guys. I can just feel it on my skin. Now, that doesn't give me a Geiger counter, but as a personal Geiger counter, I go, ow, I'm too close to the furnace. I used to work in metal. I've worked with blast furnaces where you put in a solid chunk of metal in a crucible, you know, and it melts, and you take it out, and then you pour it into a mold. When you flip open that door to a 2300 degree oven, even when you have on that protective gear, you feel like you have just stepped in hell. Boom, just like that. Oh yeah. And that little silver suit and everything you got on, you start sweating immediately. So I understand about the heat thing, all right? And I understand about radiant heat, meaning the stuff you can't really see, you know, because that's how I heat my house in the wintertime. It's the radiant heat that comes in through the sun. But boy, I can feel it on my skin. Now, that's something that I can't give a value to. Ow, it hurts really bad today. I mean, you know, so I can't say that, except that I can tell there are certain days, and today I walked out and came right back in. Yesterday was tough to stay outside in, and I came back in. Usually, if it's not too bad, I mean, I'm like, I don't try to look, I don't try to gauge, I don't try to watch Ben first and see if I'm going to be in a thing. I try to gauge myself. And then I watch Ben to see if, like, ooh, that wasn't too bad. Well, we're not getting cooked too much today. Okay. So it sort of gives me my own little personal gauge. Well, my arm didn't burn too bad. We must be in the green, you know? So, with that said, now, where else were we going with stuff? Oh, gotta mention it. Gotta mention it. I mean, here we go again with Trump and Hillary. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, and I bring this up because I was thinking of my friend that was here earlier. Now, God love you, my brother. And to all the other people who actually believe that Hillary has never committed a crime, that all of her crimes that are supposedly there, including all the emails that these people who believe Hillary believe that the emails that were leaked were all tampered with before they were leaked. Let me stop right there. Okay. How many emails did they drop? A bunch. Now, I don't know what Julian and WikiLeaks has going. It would just be interesting information, but I'm like, you know, I don't want to go pry. It's not that important. But now, if he's supposed to be the main guy that's going through all this stuff, he's got somebody over here and somebody over here. That's okay, cool. And he should, because the volume of what is being dumped to WikiLeaks and them, there's no way that one person could come near looking at all that stuff. I went back into my Yahoo account. That I use my Gmail more than my Yahoo, and I get confused. And, when was the last I checked it? I don't know. But when I went back in about a week ago, it was like I got 700 emails and messages, etc. 700? Oh, wait a minute. And since when? So, to the point, I started trying to go through them. And not really just reading them, but just reading the title line. Okay, you go delete, and just going through them. After 2 hours, I hadn't even broke the skin hardly on them things. Then I was like, God almighty. So that's what led my mind to go, how come people think that one person can handle all those thousands and thousands of emails and letters or whatever? It can't happen. Now, to the same point, in the amount of time, now for those of you who think that all of Hillary's and them's, Podesta and them, that their emails were tampered with, think about how long it would take to do it. And do it in such a secret way that the timestamp and everything is still correct. Because I haven't heard any of them yet come out and go, well, that email just isn't true. Have you? Not me. That email just isn't true. They go, well, it wasn't quite like that. That's not what I meant. But nobody's denying these things. Have you noticed? Has anybody picked up on that one? They go, oh, this is going to bury Clinton, and nothing happens. And I'm not, guys, you all in the alternate news, you need to stop this urgent, urgent every single time something comes out. It's not urgent, urgent. Urgent, urgent means that a plane crashed. That's urgent. Urgent, urgent, warning Will Robinson, there is a mothership the size of the moon that just entered our atmosphere. Urgent, urgent. Urgent, urgent, another email is going to bury Clinton. Well, if that were true, she'd already be there. Not that I don't want to see it happen. Not my point. It's just not urgent. That's my point. You folks in the alternative media, oh, I'm going to get some on this one. You're actually promoting that which you don't want. Okay, what do I mean by that? All right. For those of you who are like, well, Alex Jones is okay, but I don't want to be like him, but you are. By putting urgent, urgent every time you put up something. Now, Benjamin, the Israeli news. Now, when he says alert, alert, he's talking about a bomb strike in Syria. That's alert. Okay? Urgent, urgent is there's a pipe bomb that went off in Jerusalem. Okay? So, alternate news, stop with the urgent, urgent business. Please use the word from the old days that was flash. Aha. That means we got some new news in. Newsflash. Flash. Not urgent or immediate or whatever. No, I mean, even the fact that, oh, somebody saw a FEMA train. Good. But is it urgent? Were they offloading into somebody's backyard, and were there, a battalion of troops standing around? That would be urgent, folks. I do want you to tell me the news, but everything you say is not urgent. Stop it. You're not helping. You're not helping. Okay? Stop that. Don't. That's what Alex is doing. And I'm not sure if he knows, but he knows, we're going to get everybody's attention. But you know what? He's burned me out. Oh, alert, alert. He's burned me on a couple of these. I'm going to be here on Sunday. And then what he wants to say, oh, buy our products, and oh, I this, blah, blah, blah. There ain't no urgent nothing about it. Wolf, 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 wolf. Do you want somebody to really listen to your urgent message? Then stop using the word urgent until it's necessary. I'm going to have to do a separate little video on this, I see. Okay, off of that subject. Back to the coronal hole. I'm saying there should be a shadow facing this, and we should only be getting a third of the sunlight yesterday and today, and that it would actually be kind of cloudy up there, but it ain't. we're not getting the information. Then the alternate news, YouTube news, other folks, Facebook, I think is a wonderful thing, but so does the CIA and the NSA, who helped set it up, which is okay. But I like to just float their boat. Now, if you really want to mess them up, now here's just a little bit of FYI, okay, stuck at the end of this little piece of video. Because I'm fixing to wrap this up. We've got more to do later on, and there's news coming in now, and oh yeah, I'm past my time. Okay, so, oh my goodness gracious, what a day it's been. I'm sorry, I can't get what transpired with my visitor off my head. It really is. It really is to me just absolutely. Did Shakespeare write what's going on now? This has got to be the absolute biggest farce ever in the history of ever. I mean, you know, I look at the way, you know, oh, she's not guilty, you know, because if she was guilty of this, they would have pinned that on her back then. And that is true. And it was like, well, how come she's never gotten anything pinned on her? And I said, well, because they all got something pinned on them because they're all in the same club. Now, to you folks who are going to vote Hillary, God bless you. I still love you anyway. But I don't like Trump any more than, you know, but he has spoken and laid out a specific line type things. I gotta say that as a machinist, as a person who has been in lots of different industries over the years, as a person who's watched the news, etc., I won't go there. However, he touched on the things like, for example, I've been complaining about since 2004, that we got to get manufacturing back here, or I mean now in 2 more years we're sunk. Forget about it. You're gonna be able to buy a pair of shoes. We don't make shoes here anymore. We don't make a lot of the stuff that we get. You talking about bargain basements? If for any reason we can't get our stuff from China, flip-flops, I mean, something as simple as that, we don't make them over here. And all the sewing machines and things, that was brought up by my friend as well. We were discussing down here in South Georgia that about 20 years ago, all of the sewing, there used to be sewing factories all over down here. The little town Meigs had 2. Oclockney had 2. Moultrie had 5, 6, 10. I don't know, maybe a dozen, because there were a couple out at Spence Field. And these were sewing plants, and they sewed jeans and panties and just all different. There was a sportswear up in Doran. It might still be there, but I'm not certain. But to the point, there was a lot of these businesses around. They needed mechanics for all the sewing machines. They needed managers for all the tracking and this. They needed material handlers and bundlers and shippers and then all the stuff that went with it for each one of those individual companies. They are all gone. Well, unless that Doran Sportswear is still there, which it could be, but and I'm not joking, there probably were at least 50. And in each one of them, there were, on the smallest one, there were 20 people worked there, for real. And on the largest one, there were 2 shifts, and there were 75 people per shift, possibly. 150 people working each day. And with overtime sometimes. And they all had job, you know, and there was child care. And because most of the sewing jobs were done by women. So the women, and some of them actually liked their job. They weren't so much about killing production and getting extra money. They were tired of being at home and went in and sat with some of their friends, and they could sew and talk because they had been doing it for so many years. And that's all gone. all the second income for some of those families, because a lot of those old ladies were in their late 50s, early 60s. Some of them were over 65, but because they hadn't put enough into Social Security, they had to work after 65 until they dropped because there wasn't enough money in Social Security. Work all your life and not have a dime to retire on. It's just, wow. And especially when you, as I was speaking to the folks I met over the weekend, I've paid into Social Security since I was 13 years old. And I'm like, it's $1,000 a month? What? All those years, and that's all I get. This lady was an RN for like 30 years. She gets less than I do, which that part I couldn't get. I was like, what? She must not have had a very high base salary, but she also worked in a small hospital in a small town in rural Georgia. But she chose to be there because they needed her. Also, her family was there, her friends were there, and so she stayed home in the community, probably with half of the pay that if she'd went somewhere else she could have gotten. But she wasn't into that. But now she's like, boy, I pay the price. You know, I'm not even making $1,000 a month, and I worked all my life. I still have to work now part-time, and you know, I say none of us, meaning I was never, I never made $75,000 a year, and there are a lot of people who do. I made $40,000 one time in 1 year, and that was like, sweet. But I worked my butt off every single day there was to work. I worked Saturdays and overtime. Was the guy above me any better when he made 3 times the amount of money that I did? I don't want to pass judgment, but my opinion is no. They could have gave me a really nice bump and only cut his salary 10%, and it would have helped me by a third. But because I was always fixing his problems anyway. Now that's another story. But to the point, though, we worked all our lives, and we all put into Social Security. But people who make over $100,000 don't have to pay any more income to Social Security above $100,000. Huh? I had to pay. It didn't matter how much I made, but right now the cap is if you make $100,000 a year, you pay Social Security tax on that. But if you make $2 million a year, you still only pay Social Security tax on $100,000. So you get $1,900,000 tax-free without having to pay into Social Security. Now, for those of us who paid in on the lower end, but regardless, we paid in. Because they put the cap in, they've also not given us a raise. And the last raise I got was $7 a month. Woo! About a gallon of milk and a bag of cookies. What's going on with those two? Trump, I noticed, has a plan. Manufacturing. He spoke about steel in Pittsburgh. Somebody up there tried to poo-poo it and all. And I was like, dude, the man knew about steel. He knew about Bethlehem steel. A lot of people don't know about that. He spoke about that, and he spoke about how the jobs and where they could bring it back, and that we should, because their steel is by far the best in the world. As a machinist and as an engineer and who's someone who built parts that needed to have the right stuff, otherwise it wouldn't work. We tried steel from Russia several times, and every single time it failed. So I finally told our vendor, don't ever use another piece of steel brought in from Russia. If I stipulate an A2 or a D2 or another type of steel, I expect it to come from Crucible, from Bethlehem, from inside here. No more Russian steel. Now, that was back in 2003 and 2004. And Russia, God bless them, but the other side of the coin is they let them bring it in. Okay? What do I have a problem with? Like, we were speaking about Ford moving down over to Mexico. That's the reason I lost my job. There was right at 800 people who worked in our two plants. All of our jobs are gone. Now, all the little stores, all of the daycare, all of the things that we did, all of the machine shops that helped support us when we had parts to be made, all of the other suppliers, paper, toiletry, janitorial, gone. So these two giant plants that we always ran in the black. We weren't like losing money. We were one of the only plants combinations within the structure that wasn't running in the red at that time. They moved us instead of some of the other ones. Now, what does Trump want to do? Everybody's like, well, you can't do that. If you're going to build a Ford in Mexico, then you should pay an import tax to bring it back. I'm sorry. I worked as a tier 1 group I made spark plug wires for every single Ford. I designed the tools to make those things. Yes. I have proof. Yeah. Chrysler, Honda, Nissan. So, but ours was a second company, but it was a tier 1, meaning it was we were the first supplier, the supplier for these parts, so Ford could build their cars and trucks. Now, why is that important? Well, because they sent it across the border down there. Because NAFTA had passed. And then George Bush and them did some more finaglings and opened it up even more, all the way down into South America, all the way to the tip of South America is NAFTA now, not just into Mexico. Well, so when they moved our plants down there, well, they were like, we don't have to pay any import fees because we're just, I mean, you could throw a rock from the U.S. to hit the plant where they moved to. That's how cheap these SOBs are. They wouldn't let us work. Wouldn't let us keep our jobs, wouldn't let us hold the community together, wouldn't let us keep all these wonderful folks who had worked for this. Some of them had worked for this company 10, 15 years. I was on 7 years myself. And then what do? All of us gone. Many of them lost their 401ks. Not so much in the move, but also with the banking spiel that was going on at the time. So they lost their jobs and they lost their 401k. They lost everything. There are people very intelligent people who are sweeping the floors in Lowe's. It's a shame. Intelligent people with real knowledge of machining and manufacturing, real good information. Training you just don't rub off to the, no offense, youngins, who are coming up, because you don't have any hands-on training. There's no OJT. So, why do I say that? It's because I taught folks. When I worked at Prestolite, they had an exchange student program going on with Georgia Tech, Mercer, and another one in Atlanta. A couple of schools. Anyway, so over the 7 years that I was there were several exchange students that came in. And I'm speaking of one who was a lovely gentleman, and oh my gosh, he right through the roof. He could do calculus in his head without a piece of paper. I mean, just really smart. But he did not know how to drill a hole and tap it for a bolt. He'd seen it done. He'd seen a video, but he didn't understand because he had never worked in a machine shop, and with all the years' experience that I had, that there were different drill sizes that you could use in order to tap a hole. And if you use really small, the smaller drill bit, and tapped it. That meant, boy, when you put that bolt in, it was not going to wiggle. But it was also very, very close tolerance, okay, and hard to do. The second one is not so tight, but snug. And the third one, you can put the nut or the bolt in and almost wiggle it in the threads. He didn't know. So he didn't specify on some of the drawings, and he graduated with some big time bucks. 75 grand a year and a 2-week vacation package, and that was his start out pay. And he calls me on the phone going, Mr. Dave, I need help. He graduated high in his class as an engineer from Georgia Tech. And he didn't know how to drill a hole, put a tap in it. Because they're not teaching that. It's all book learning. And, well, why would I need to know that? Because the information I'm going to give is going to go to the computer. And then the CAD thing is going to do it, and then the machine will do it, but you still have to know what size drill bit. Somebody does. The machine doesn't know what size drill bit to use unless you tell it. You have to specify. So where am I headed with this? There are these wonderfully bright, intelligent, out-of-the-box younger folks. No experience, and there's no manufacturing left around here anywhere that's of any value, unless you want to go fix machines at a chicken processing plant. No offense, I have good friends that work there, God bless them all too. That's a crappy job. And so, I mean, a machine, working in a machine shop, you're going to have dirt and dust and chips flying and oil and the smell and all. Oh, it's great sometimes. But there isn't anything that's really making anything around here anymore like it used to. Stamping mills, and I learned about stamping and punch presses and things, and there was they were several $1 million a year business, but a small business. There were maybe 15 or 20 employees, depending on the time of the year and what was being made. But gone. The building's gone, the people's gone, the knowledge is gone. Bridgeport brass, whatever the reason, all the things they did there, they used to make all pipe, plumbing, fittings and stuff. Bye-bye. Now that was been gone years. However, but the thing is that they had been talking about bringing it back, but it didn't. Now, at the sewing factories, also there were like 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5 mobile home manufacturing places at one time here in Moultrie. Thomasville had several, and I'm counting 5. There might have been more at one time, but I'm just thinking back now. This has been 20 years ago, but the point is that there is still a mobile home manufacturing plant, I think, in Moultrie. There isn't one, I don't believe, anymore in Thomasville. There were window making factories. I don't think they're there anymore. I mean, there was a lot of manufacturing plants around here that supplied good materials. I mean, that were honestly worth something. I mean, windows, yeah, it's important. New mobile homes, and they were good quality mobile homes too at the time. And so they're all gone. All these businesses are gone. Now, are there fewer people here now? No. There are more people here now, but there aren't as many jobs. There aren't as many plants. There aren't as many anything to support the people that still live here. I'm still here. If I could get a part-time job doing drafting or doing a little troubleshooting work in a plant or something, if there were plants here, I could get a job. Or second shift, perhaps, for me to go in and work as a shift supervisor. I'm very good at being able to look at quality projection and stuff. My history of my abilities to be able to um, yeah, spot defaults that's just a talent I got. Thank you. But to the point though, there's nothing around here even for an able-bodied person to do. Back in the day, I could even fall back on working on a farm, but there's a lot of farms that have cut back too. Why? Because there were 10,000 people put out of work when they closed these 2 or 3 plants. It all ran downhill. And so those 10,000 people, some of them were supplementing their income, their farm income, because they weren't quite making enough, but they didn't want to sell their farm, have lost their farm and their job. So they don't have either one now. Am I trying to badmouth, make everybody? No, you all know this story. But they up yonder don't, wherever that DC place is. And we need to make ourselves known. Donald, I'm going to vote for you. Yeah, I know. I'm going to tick a bunch of people off. But I'm going to wear red that day, and I just want to see. I've been lied and cheated from the Clintons since way back. Hillary's been lying as a senator and also she was a really bad Secretary of State. Do I want her in? No, under no circumstances do I want her back in there. I didn't like the job she did before, period. Okay? Now, there's a lot of illegal stuff too. Job performance, that's why, okay? On the fact that she can't remember stuff and has little fits, she's had them on camera, that's why. That's why I've had fits and little issues, and I wouldn't run for president because people are going to be depending on me. No, I might be vice president or a secretary, but no, if you've had a brain injury, and she's older than me, so you want an old lady with brain damage and a long history reported from the people who work around her about how violent she is and the temper tantrums she has. And if anybody knows anybody that takes Dilantin for seizures, Dilantin will make you mean. And I know a lot of people go, oh, you know I do. I take Dilantin. I just kind of get pissed off sometimes. Yeah, I used to take Dilantin. I know. And then I looked in the mirror one day and said, wait a minute. And I switched. I got rid of the angry thing. I was still having trouble with episodes, but we have someone who has notable issues with her brain. That's not the person to put in as president. Why? Because who is this Kane guy that's her vice president? If something happens to her, he becomes president. Now, from what I've seen of this Kane cat, I don't want him to be president. Do you? At least Trump's vice president has some, in my opinion, better experience, or an experience I more agree with somehow. But Kane is Jesuit. Pope Francis, Jesuit. Don't you know we're in Jesuit jurisdiction? We are in Jesuit Junction. We are getting jammed by the Jesuit Junction. Yeah, sir. No, I don't think I want Kane to be vice president, Hillary canked out president. No. Sorry. No. Okay. I will take my chances with the other guy. Now, I'm going to tell you I'm going to vote for Trump. Yeah, I am. But if I flip the switch for Jill Stein, I won't tell you. I'm going to be back later. I'm going to find some other videos. I'm going to go out and check sundown and see where the sun's headed down tonight. I couldn't find, I literally couldn't find the sun this morning with all of the chemtrails to the east. However, I can tell you it was south of east, not anywhere near the top of my driveway like it's supposed to be. So, yes, it was off. I just don't have that video proof. More later. Have a great afternoon. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers, null and void news, because if this isn't the most craziest stuff that you've ever heard, especially what's going on in the news today,